Hello everyone, and happy to be here, and wonderful to have this clear sense of meditating together with in community with others. And even though I'm looking mostly at the camera as I speak, I have a very rich sense of those of you who are at the other end of this, and seeing the chats helps tremendously with that, and both the names that I recognize and those that are new. And so thank you all for being here. One of the attitudes with which to meditate is an attitude of curiosity or interest, of wanting to really know what is happening here in the moment in our experience, and to have that kind of interest in knowing what is here, while at the same time not trying to understand. And the reason not to try to understand is then we will be not meditating, we'll be thinking, reflecting, probing. So the art of this is to have that interest where the eyes, the perception, the attention is has a nice alertness to it, as if we're trying to discover the message that's available here. As if we're trying to understand it, we're available for it. And so rather than trying to figure anything out, there's this heightened availability, as if there's a profound message to be discovered here. But only a message that only can be discovered if we don't actively try to discover it, but rather be available to it. So that kind of interest. And it might be, and some of this has to do with beginning to understand the deeper conditionality, deeper conditions that are coming into play, that are operating in the moment as we're living our lives. And the message that we can receive is that see the deeper structures of what's happening, the deeper motivations and emotions. And the other thing that the message might be is something about the potential of what's possible. And it becomes really clear that it's not just of the moment, but what future we create for ourselves, maybe in the next moment, in the next minute, by how we are here. And so this availability to wisdom, availability to understanding, interest to understand, to see, while not trying to. So available, but not figuring it out, as if it's going to be arise. It's going to appear if we have this attentiveness. So to sit in a meditation posture, and maybe to think of the alert posture as that's alert to be available, to sense and to feel. If you're going to go into the woods to listen to hear a sound of a faint bird, there might be a physical uprightness, a lifting up of the body, kind of to hear and listen. And so this alert posture, and then closing the eyes to also begin a process of settling into the body. Maybe settling around the alertness. So the unnecessary tensions and holdings are released. Taking a few long, slow, deep breaths, and savoring each breath, taking your time, really sensing, feeling the body expand, filled with air, stretch as you breathe in. And maybe relaxing into a longer exhale. Maybe with a sense of relaxation, settling. A deep, long inhale and a long exhale, relaxing the thinking mind, quieting the thinking. Letting your breathing return to normal. And taking a few moments to be attuned to the rhythm of breathing in your body. Breathing is connected to so many different parts of our being. It's at the crossroads. If you be available for the message of breathing, for the deeper experience of what's happening as you breathe, what is revealed? And then for the next few exhales, relaxing whatever energy, agitation there is in thinking. The thinking mind, quieter as you exhale, settling more deeply. On the exhale, as if the thinking mind can rest, can let its weariness settle down. And if you're present for your mind in some quiet, open, available way, as if there's a message or a deeper understanding, deeper insight, does anything arise when you quietly make yourself available to sense and feel the thinking mind? And taking one deeper breath and exhaling, returning to natural breathing, your normal way of breathing. available to the experience of breathing. And continuing with the rhythm of breathing, maybe within the breathing itself. What a message, what emotional message, what emotional understanding comes if you're available to see or feel your emotional life as you breathe. Is there a unique message or understanding that appears when you take into account, when you feel both your breathing, you're connected to your breathing, and you feel your mood or emotional state? What does mindfulness of breathing contribute to a better understanding? And then continuing now in silence with your breathing, but perhaps with an openness that's available for deeper experience. One way of understanding mindfulness is that it involves an availability to experience. We're available. We don't assert ourselves. We don't pull away. We don't project our ideas. We don't shut down or avoid. But we're available for experience. We get distracted and then we return to that availability. And in this way, we're not asserting ourselves, not protecting ourselves. And as we come to the end of this meditation, imagine that in a safe way, safe situation, you're simply attentive, present, mindful, in a feeling of it with availability. You're available to be mindful, to be attentive to the social situation. Not asserting yourself, not pulling away, just available. Available to feel and sense, know the humanity of someone else. Available to sense and feel what animates them. More fully who they are and how they are. And through this availability, goodwill and kindness have a very different life than if we assert our goodwill, assert our kindness. We're available to our kindness, our goodwill. We're available for love to arise in the space of not knowing, the space of possibility, in the space of knowing others more fully. And in this way, our meditation practice can benefit our wider life and others in our life. May it be that this meditation practice we do serves for the welfare and happiness of others. May it bring others safety, happiness, peace, and maybe even freedom. At least the freedom from our assertiveness, our neediness, our projections onto them. May we be safe for other people. May all beings be happy. So, continuing the discussion about emotions, people have many attitudes towards their emotional life. Some people are shy of their emotions, are troubled by their emotions. Some people don't pay much attention to them. Certain emotions are considered wrong or inappropriate to have, or we have an aversive relationship to them, or we're ashamed of having them, and some we're happy to have, some we're delighted and hold on to. There's a wide range of ways to relate to it. In the Dharma, in practicing with emotions, it's useful to respect all emotions. All emotions, in a sense that all emotions have a place, and that Buddhist practice, is not meant to negate or squash or push away any emotion, but in that more respect and openness to experience the full range of emotions that we have, to come to healthy emotions, to come to a healthy relationship to emotions, and a healthy source for emotions. And one way to relate to emotions for this purpose is to see all emotions as maybe all, provisionally at least, all emotions to be a message. All emotions are pointing to something. And so we don't want to kill the messenger before we've seen the message. We don't even after we see the message. But to think of emotions as pointing to something that's deeper. Some emotions arise out of other emotions. Some emotions come together with other emotions. Sometimes if the predominant emotion might be grief, but there might be mixed in there, there might be a sense of guilt, there might be some shame, there might be anger. And it's in part of the whole complex of how we're feeling at a particular time. But maybe we focus mostly on the grief, or we might sense the other ones are there, but we feel somehow it's wrong to have those. But they're part of the complex. And maybe they're a needed part of the complex. They all point to something. And if we see all these emotions as being messengers that are pointing to something, then we can easier to respect them and take time to get to know them more. If we take some emotions like anger, as being anger in and of itself, without being connected to something deeper, then we can have an aversive relationship to anger. We can feel ashamed for having it, or upset about ourselves or something. But if we see anger to be a message, and then we ask, what is going on here? What's it pointing to more deeply? And in the broadest terms, some emotions arise out of attachment. They arise out of something we're holding on to and clinging. And so the message might be, the pointer is to discover, what are we attached to here? And so rather than getting caught up in the anger by itself, and relating only to the anger, if we do that, then we're missing the deeper message, a deeper understanding. But if we look and see the anger represents something, it's a manifestation of something that's deeper. What might that be? So in terms of other emotions, it might be that we're hurt, and that the being hurt is the primary, more primary than the anger, which is secondary. And so the anger is we're allowing the anger to point back to the hurt. That is what might be what really needs our attention, what we want to practice with. It's because it's more primary, that's somehow the source that's prompting the anger. It might be that what underlies anger is fear. And so if we just stay with the anger and blame someone and get angry with someone, we won't feel the fear. We won't recognize that we're afraid as well. And recognizing the fear doesn't make us weak. The anger make us strong. Well, recognizing the fear can actually give us a lot of strength if we learn how to be with fear in a useful, productive way. But then we're more connected to what's primary. We're coming home to a deeper way. And now we know what needs to be taken care of. We know better what needs to happen. But both hurt and fear may be related to something even deeper. Those are kind of messages too. And what's going on that's more deep here? And that's where there might be attachments and there might not be attachments. If there are attachments, clinging, then that's what we want to see in this practice. That is really the heart of moving towards freedom, is to see where we're caught. If we're not attached and caught, then below the fear and the hurt, there might be something that's really precious, something that's tender or loving or appreciative or grateful about this life, what's going on here. There might be some deeper place of being at home that maybe makes us feel more vulnerable. And rather than avoiding the vulnerability or the tenderness or the love, the task is, the Dharma task is to discover how to find strength in that, how to find ease with that, how to be wise about that so we can stay in touch with that as we go through our lives. So whatever the emotion might be, it should be respected. And what respect means is kind of how I understand the etymology of the word, the etymology game, is that it's to look again, to inspect again, to respect, to take a second look or a third look and really spend time getting to know this experience. What is this? And then be available to feel or sense what else is happening here. What is it? What might it be pointing to? What might it be coming out of? Not so much to analyze what it is, but this is why mindfulness is so helpful. We're kind of like available to notice what's going on in the cracks of it, what's going on underneath it. If we open up the attention more widely and look beyond the secondary emotion or the thing that's strongest at what it's pointing to, then we might start seeing deeper and deeper sources and processes that are going on. So in this way, we're respectful. And so what's the message? As I've said now a few times, even the most, I'll say this differently, even the most difficult, challenging, maybe painful, maybe even inappropriate or emotions that we might feel, the more stronger they are, the more they represent that there is something important for us to delve into and see what's going on. There probably is some strong attachment, some strong clinging to something. And the stronger the reaction, the stronger the despair, the stronger the grief, the stronger the anger, the stronger the whatever it might be, the more it actually is a messenger. It's hard to take this idea in sometimes when the strength of our reactions, strength of our emotions, has a lot to do with the terrible things that are being done to us or happening in the world. And I don't want to in any kind of way say that we're responsible for our emotions, and because there's terrible things that happen to us. But the stronger the reaction we have, the more the richer opportunity, more important opportunity there is to see where, like, the bigger the reaction, the deeper in our psyche, in our mind, in our hearts, is where the attachments might be. And so the stronger the reaction, the more it's a doorway into understanding the depth of what's going on. I've seen this a lot of times on retreats. The classic example on a meditation retreat is we try to make these safe places for everyone, but occasionally something happens that is not so safe. Not what the very thing they were trying to protect people from happens. I remember once there was we were renting facilities in a kind of a university, and there was a fire in a distant building in the university, and there were firefighting helicopters that came flying over really close to us, and there was a lot of noise and maybe some smoke, and there was a woman at the retreat. This is many years ago now, who still had traumatic legacy from growing up with the bombings in Europe during World War II. And the sounds of the helicopters and the noise and everything seemed so much like what she was familiar with, that had been so troublesome. She got really frightened. And but because she was on a meditation retreat, she kept practicing with it and going deeper and deeper, and discovering where the knot was, where she was still knotted up, holding herself in fear and protecting herself unnecessarily. And it was able to let go. So on retreat, it's a very special environment to kind of really, the stronger the reactivity, the more it can point to something really, really deep. Sometimes. And sometimes seeing the message of there's respecting emotions, is we're respecting our love, our kindness, our compassion, to give it time. And when we connect to that and use that as a message to what's more deeper, maybe we connect that to our freedom. We see, this goodwill I have, this compassion I have, it's arising out of freedom. And the freedom is maybe the greatest gift we can give. To connect to that sense of freedom that we've discovered, and to let that be the vehicle for our care of the world. So you might try this to whatever emotions you have today. If it's safe, if it's appropriate, maybe to step away a little bit, be on your own, and reflect more deeply. What is this a message of? What is this pointing to? If this is a messenger, what's more intimate, deeper, more important here? What can I discover? And maybe all emotions are pointing to something deeper than themselves. So thank you, and I'll continue tomorrow.